Hey guys, and welcome to another episode. Today I'm going to show you how to install wheel spacers on your car. Now, wheel spacers are very handy whether if you're looking to get a big brake kit and get your OEM wheels to clear, whether if you're looking to get your wheels to look perfectly flush with the fender, or if you guys just want to make your track a little bit wider. This is where these wheel spacers come in handy. The spacers that I have right here are going to allow me to get my OEM wheels and push them out a little bit more than what they are right now. So in the front, I've got a 25mm spacer, and for the rear, I'm going to be putting on a 38mm spacer. Now, these are going to be helping my car clear a big brake kit, they're going to make my car look flush with the fenders, and I'm going to have a wider track, so handling is actually going to be a little bit better too. I'll see you guys in 2 minutes. I'm going to bring my car inside, get it in the air, and take the wheels off. Alright guys, so the first step once you have the wheel off is not going to go ahead and just directly mount the spacer onto the hub. So I'm going to set this aside for a second. Now right here I've got a little wire wheel attached to a DeWalt impact gun. Slide it right in, put it in there, and I'm going to clean all this up so I've got a good mating surface between the wheel spacer and the hub. You don't want any imperfections, and you want it to be leveled perfectly flat against the backside. Now if it's going to be wobbled or anything, you're going to notice that when you start driving and get up to speed. So just get a wire brush and clean this up. Now this is just my personal preference. I'm just going to get brake cleaner and just spray this down so I'm working with a clean, bare surface. Now you can either let this evaporate just like what it's doing right now, or if you want, you can get an air compressor and then blow this out and it'll be evaporated in 2 seconds.
If you live in a region that gets hit with a lot of salt during the winter, it's a good idea to put some type of corrosion preventative coating between the brake rotor and the wheel spacer. This way, if you need to remove the brake rotor for some reason, the wheel spacer won't be fused to it. I'm going to put some 3M copper anti-seize because it does an amazing job and it's pretty inexpensive. I'll have a link for it in the description. You just need a light coating of this stuff to make it work. Now if you have the option, opt for a hub-centric spacer so the wheel spacer will sit on the OEM hub of the car, and then the wheel will sit on the wheel spacer itself. Now this is a much safer alternative to a regular generic wheel spacer because the weight of the car won't be put on the threads, which could potentially warp the studs. Once you have the backside coated, put the spacer through the studs onto the hub. If you opted for the thick bolt-on wheel spacers like I have here, the extra lug nuts should come included with your kit. Thread each lug nut on by hand, and then we'll continue on to the next step. If you decide to buy a big brake kit for your car and you're working with your OEM wheels, you might have to buy wheel spacers as you might have some clearance issues. Your brake caliper might be interfering with the spokes of the wheels. Now this 4-piston brake caliper is wider than the original 1-piston brake caliper that comes with my Honda. If I wanted to use my OEM wheels with this big brake kit, I'll have to get wheel spacers, as you can see in this video. Now, I'll be mounting these to my car, but I'm still in the process of acquiring all the necessary parts. Now, you guys will definitely see a video down the road regarding this DIY to install a big brake kit. Once the lug nuts are threaded on, I'm going to use a DeWalt impact driver just to tighten them up. Now make sure that when you're tightening the lug nuts, you go over them in a star pattern. So always try to tighten the furthest possible lug nut at all times. Now whatever your torque spec of your wheel is for your vehicle, that's what you should torque the wheel spacers to. Pretend that the wheel spacer is your new OEM wheel. For my car, it's 80 foot-pounds of torque, so I'm going to tighten up each lug nut to 80 foot-pounds. Now to do this, you probably need to get someone to go in the car and press the brake pedal so the brake and spacer don't spin on you while you're trying to tighten it. Again, you should be doing the star pattern here to make sure that the wheel spacer gets centered on the hub properly.
Now because I'm crazy about this stuff, I'm going to be putting 3M copper anti-seize on the front face of the spacer so the wheel doesn't corrode to this. Because I'm putting my winter wheels on the car, there's going to be salt and other things that are going to be corroding the aluminum to this aluminum on my wheel. Now I don't want it to corrode, so what I'm going to be doing is putting this on there, and it's going to stop it from happening.
When you're putting the anti-seize on the spacer, you want to focus your aim to the face of the spacer along with the little flange on the center. You just need a little bit of this coating to make it work. Try to avoid getting the studs in the anti-seize, but if you do get some on there, it isn't going to be the end of the world. Just wipe it off with a rag. Once you have the entire thing coated, grab your wheel and mount it back onto your car. Thread each lug nut on by hand, tighten it up a little bit more, lower the car down onto the ground, and then follow it up with your torque wrench. Now whatever torque spec you use for your wheel spacers, so for me 80 foot-pounds, you're going to tighten down your wheels to that exact same torque spec.
Now that the car's flush with these wheel spacers, I'm happy with the way these stock wheels look. Another added benefit of getting these wheel spacers installed on your car is that the car will also have a better load transfer when you're turning. So that means that when you're turning really hard, because you have a wider track, you're gonna be able to spread the weight more evenly between all of your wheels. So if you're turning right, you get better pressure from left to right, as opposed to when you have a smaller track. Not only is this only a cosmetic upgrade, you also get the added bonus of a performance difference between stock. You're gonna handle better, it's gonna look better, and you'll also be able to fit a larger brake caliper behind your wheel. If you guys have any questions regarding the video, please post them down in the comments below, and I'd be happy to help. Okay guys, thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.